We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Thank you for making us a part of your day. Big news today, Ben. John Marino signs a contract extension with the Mammoth. We talked a lot about it in the 2 o'clock hour. We're going to talk to John here coming up in a moment. In fact, he's ready to roll. Joining us now, as we mentioned, fresh off a contract extension, 8 years to remain with the Utah Mammoth. He is John Marino with us here on Jake and Ben. John, congratulations.
Congrats,
Thanks
John.
for coming on with us.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
We're doing well. How does it feel? I mean, 8 years is a long time. We've covered the NBA, and most contracts are 2, 3, maybe 4 years. 8 is a huge commitment. It's pretty standard in hockey, but as a 29-year-old, you kind of have an identity or an idea of what your future is going to look like. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels great to have that, obviously that stability of where you, where you live for at least, a little bit of that contract, at least for a little while. There's a lot of, I've been traded twice too, so it's just nice to have that security.
Yeah. Does it allow you to put down some roots here? And, I find it interesting it's such a nomadic lifestyle. Can you get used to it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it's nice to have a kind of home away from home. Most guys go home to somewhere where they're from, but, you also can settle down in the city that you play and call that home as well. So, when you know you're going to be there for 8 years, it definitely helps the cause.
All right, John, you had, I think it's fair to say, the best year of your career last year. Most points you scored, second most games you've played. You and Nate Schmidt were really terrific, one of the best defensive pairings and statistically the best defensive pairing in the NHL last year. What did you feel like was working for you last season that allowed you to have such a big year?
Yeah, I think obviously, you want to credit your teammates and, everyone else who has helped out. Obviously, my D partner Schmitty, and then I think another big reason was just being able to be healthy again. I was kind of banged up there with my back, had back issues the last couple of years, and I came into camp hurt, and they did a great job taking care of me and gave me the best resources possible. I was able to get fully healthy, and I think that it changed the trajectory of my next year of time.
Can you talk to us about the grind to get to this point? You mentioned being traded a couple of times and, the development process and now to get rewarded with such a great contract. Can you talk about the journey a little bit?
Yeah, so there's a lot of ups and downs in hockey, especially if you're not like a first power play guy, you're not getting all those points. So you kind of got to rely on like some bounces and, there's going to be up and down years and you just kind of have to like trust the process, stay with it. But, yeah, there's definitely, it's never, it's not like it's always been easy sledding. You just kind of have to trust yourself as a player and, go from there.
It's a funny thing that happens, and the NHL is a little different. You have to work your way up and earn your spot on the top roster in the NHL. But correct me if I'm wrong, you made the playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs, the first 4 years of your career, and then you go through a gap and you get back. Do you have a different appreciation for it now, having made it back, versus starting your career on a team that goes 3 straight years and then getting traded to another playoff team?
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I think, I've been able to, every time I get traded, able to help the team make playoffs. So it's something that, I kind of pride myself on and being a part of that. You want to go into a team and, learn from, like the Pittsburgh Penguins who are, made the playoffs for so many years in a row and bring that experience over to a new group of guys who, who maybe haven't made the playoffs as much. And, just kind of bring that culture and that success over. So I think that experience helped me a ton in my career.
Broaden it out a little bit. How much potential does this Mammoth team have, and how much potential does the defense specifically have?
Yeah, I think we're just seeing the beginning of it. Like, we had a great series with Vegas, blew a couple leads, but, we were right there with them. And then, we saw what they did. They ended up making a run for the finals. I think that was just kind of a glimpse of, what trajectory we're heading and how good those young guys that we have are. And, what they're capable of, especially in the big-time moments like the playoffs. And, they showed up too. So I think it's nothing but exciting times coming ahead.
John, you talked about bringing, kind of veteran experience now to a team. What was your first, I'm the veteran now moment in the NHL, because you come in with Pittsburgh and you're playing with one of the greatest players of all time. And I'm sure you had people you could look up to and talk to. And now the first guy comes up to you and he says, he thinks I know what I'm doing. Like, what did you have one of those moments of, I guess that's my role? Yeah.
Maybe not a specific story, but it was definitely coming to Utah because the guys on the team were just so young. Or maybe it was Cooley. Cooley came up to me and was like, I remember watching you in Pittsburgh. And I was like, wow, I didn't even think about it, but you're like 20, 21 years old. Like, I'm like surprised you remember that, blah, blah, blah. It seemed like so long ago or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool to hear him say it, but then you realize you're like, oh, wow, like I'm one of the older ones now.
So the show was down in Dallas a couple of weeks ago at Big 12 Media Days, and TCU has a quarterback that is a transfer from Harvard. And I got a chance to interview him about what it was like to be a student athlete at Harvard. You were at Harvard, and I want to ask you the same question. What was it like playing college hockey at our most prestigious university?
Yeah. No, it was pretty cool. I mean, just to be able to obviously Harvard has that, distinct name attached to it, but they really let you do both there. They let you focus on education, manage your time, and be able to, play the sport that you love growing up too. So, I had nothing but a great experience there. Hopefully he said something along the same lines, but yeah.
Mackenzie Weegar comes in, I think it's fair to say, had a little bit of a slow start. Felt like he really kind of found himself in the postseason. Puck started to bounce his way a little bit when he had a couple of goals, and played well. What do you expect from him next year, now that he'll have a full offseason under his belt to kind of get used to the team, what that pairing will look like for him on the roster next year, and what do you think the Blue Line can look like? Yeah,
I mean, he's been around for so long. He knows the ups and downs of the game. I mean, you're going to go through stretches, and then you just got to stick with it, and it's going to find you again. I mean, he's been a good player in this league for a long time, and you expect nothing short of that for him. He's done it for so long. And just the way he carries himself, too. But, we Sergachev, Schmidt, Simichev, maybe, if he's another guy that has so much potential. And then we added Pete and P. Simone. So we're very deep core and, expect to be along the same lines.
So after signing a contract extension, do you do something nice for yourself? You a nice vacation or reward yourself in another way?
Nothing planned right now. Maybe let that day come in the future, but nothing as of now.
Gold teeth.
Yeah. There you go.
Lose a lot of teeth.
Solid look and investment at the same time. Really,
gold prices.
A lot of options.
Yeah, skyrocketing. Hey, we were talking about your pairing with Schmidt and how successful it was.
Yeah.
When you're building chemistry, what does it look like, especially when you kind of have one other guy? I mean, that's the pairing. When did you notice, okay, this is working, or hey, this is going to fit really well with my game, or vice versa, I'm going to fit really well with what he does? What did you notice first? What did you build on? How did things evolve?
Yeah, I mean, I think first off, I think just our personalities kind of go hand in hand because he's more like the upbeat, he'll talk to anybody type of thing, and I kind of more do my own thing and more laid back. So, I wouldn't say we're the exact same person, but we get along really well. So it's kind of like opposites attract kind of thing. And we both play simple game out there, like nothing crazy. We're not trying anything wild, but he's been in the league a long time too, so he knows like what it takes. And you got to pick your spots out there. So just kind of having that same mindset, it just starts clicking.
Well, John, we appreciate a few minutes of your time. Huge day, and thank you for making us a little bit of a part of it.
Any plans the rest of your summer?
I got nothing. Maybe another trip for a weekend, but nothing crazy. Just kind of getting ready for the season here coming up.
All right. Well, we're excited to see how it turns
congrats.
out for you.
What a day.
Congrats, John. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
There you go. That's John Marino, fresh off an 8-year extension with the Utah Mammoth.
One of the types of players, in my experience, and I'm sure Mammoth fans are starting to get to know it better, and this is the importance of playoff runs, et cetera, where, like night to night, John Marino, the way he plays, he's just not that loud. He doesn't record a lot of points. He doesn't score a lot. It's mostly assists when he does get points. But then you start to see over a playoff series, he's having a real impact. Oh, this is a real mismatch in favor of the Mammoth. Oh, they're exploiting something here. And those stars, or fan favorites is probably the better term, start to jump up. Nobody cares about Antoine Carr in Game 35, but you watch a playoff series and all of a sudden you start to see those guys value. I think John Marino was able to do that in the Stanley Cup playoffs for the Mammoth this year. And then you start to, as a fan, fall in love with these players. And then they become a part of the DNA of the team and the story and the history. And I think that's what's fun about a playoff run.
There still should be 2 defensive slots. I was hearing Cole talk about it for maybe somebody to play their way onto that part of the roster from some of the younger players. Because now things, it seems, in the Mammoth world turn to, they've got a pretty full farm system. Who exactly is going to play their way onto to the roster?
Yep. Yeah.
And specifically at that position.
Specifically on defense. Who's going to step in and fill some of those spots? So
it's going to be your guy Boot.
Boot's forward.
Oh, he is?
Simashev.
Why did I think he was a defenseman? My bad.
Simashev could jump up there. Mav Lamoureux could jump up there. So we'll see. There's definitely some space. Or you go out and you bring in another veteran, which is totally possible. Ian Cole left in the offseason. He was a defensive player that they valued. So
you can tell he thinks they were close last year, and then watching Vegas make a little bit of a run. You heard him mention there they were up, and then Vegas goes and does what they did. I bet that inspires a little hope. I think sometimes storylines like that are a little bit excusey. Like I remember when when the Jazz had the Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell pairing, and then Conley's hammy gave way, and they really talked themselves into not doing anything in the offseason because
that close.
Yeah. If Mike Conley's hamstring hung in there, the Jazz were right there. So I see sometimes that I think you can fall in love with that argument a little bit, but it's not like the Mammoth have rested on their roster this offseason. They've made changes and invested in parts that are good and maybe looked for some other things like face-offs.
Trocheck, Andersley going and getting bigger, tougher.
Yeah.
Gritty dudes.
Those types of things. But you could tell that he thinks that they were pretty close to, not Stanley Cup maybe, but
who knows?
But rattling off a couple of rounds.
I prefer that approach from Bill Armstrong and Chris Armstrong and Ryan Smith and the front office over there. As opposed to maybe if we just run it back, we get a little bit better luck and everything will turn in our favor. Last year, and look, Dylan Harper rules for the San Antonio Spurs. He's a great player. He was the number 2 overall pick. Smart that they didn't trade him because he looks like a future star. But also, if you could have gotten Giannis last year and how close you were to winning a title, if you have Giannis on that roster, you probably beat the Knicks. Well, you get your title. You can love Dylan Harper. If Dylan Harper never gets you to a title, you probably will. I would think the Spurs probably break through, but there's truly no guarantees, and Wemby's body is never going to be a guarantee, and you never know if you're going to get back there. Getting the title is what matters, and you can bemoan losing a young player, but if you were to get a Giannis back and break through, no one's ever going to feel bad that you gave up on Dylan Harper if you were putting a ring on your finger this offseason. And now you've got to question whether you're going to get there or not. As cool as Dylan Harper is, for San Antonio, if you don't win a title, nobody's really going to celebrate him that much. So that's what I enjoy and prefer from what we've seen from the Mammoth front office is it doesn't matter that you were close. You didn't get there. So you got to go get better. And they went and tried to get better. They've tried to get better.
Yeah, but they haven't. made, I think, any crazy moves. The problem I have with your Giannis logic is that's the same logic the Clippers used, and that's how they traded away Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to acquire Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, who never got them there.
Correct.
So I don't know.
It's not a guarantee.
I agree with what you are saying. I'm just not sure that's what the Mammoth are doing. I don't know. They've made moves, but it's not like they've traded Logan Cooley.
No, they traded Cole Baudouin,
mean?
but that was not. Yes, Denoye, that was not correct. The young superstar on their roster, correct. They did not trade Tisha Ginla this summer.
No, and even them, they fall into kind of the prospect category, and I guess Dylan Harper would have too. So yeah, I as I'm learning, I mean, I like what it appears that the Mammoth are doing. I really like that they didn't have too much ego when it came to the JJ Peterka situation. Like stay married to a problem just because they traded away what looks to be a really good player in Doan to Buffalo, who turned out to be a guy. You know, it'd be easy to dig in your heels and say, I'm going to make this work so I don't look foolish. And they did not do that. They moved off it and are going in a different direction, which I think is really smart.
The Hawks. They made a mistake drafting Zachary Riza-Shea with the number 1 overall pick.
Right.
They ripped the Band-Aid off.
Yep.
They said, dang, that stinks. He's not Steph Castle. He's not Alex Sarr. He's not some of these better players from that draft class. Too bad.
Would love for him to be better.
But he's not. And you're not going to sink your franchise for the next 3 or 4 years to make yourself look like you made the right decision. You didn't. You made the wrong decision. But correct it.
The Warriors held on to Jonathan Kuminga way too long. Way too long.
To look smart.
Yep. To dig in their heels and say, no, we're going to force you to be the guy. And
Made them worse.
And then decided that he wasn't a guy, and then he thought he was a guy, and it turned into a whole disaster. So I do like that.
Like that?
And addressing little things. I think to get back to the Jazz example with Mike Conley, the hard part was the Jazz were so capped out there wasn't really anything that they could do. But they did need to nibble around the edges. That team was too small. That team's backcourt was not sufficient to make a playoff run. And maybe it wasn't a major move, Donovan Mitchell kind of move, but that team needed to do some things around the edges because they were flawed going into it and really weren't going to go anywhere.
And that may be the nuance in the difference between what the Clippers did in your example, trading Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to get Kawhi and Paul George, versus, and maybe it had the Spurs down it, they wouldn't have had any wiggle room either. But where the Mammoth are still is they've gotten better and maintained flexibility. They still have Tisha Ginla. They still have Caleb Denoye. If they want to trade one of those players to get an Austin Matthews or a Dylan Larkin or whatever the big trade is, technically that's still on the table for them. They didn't mortgage everything. When the Jazz went out and got Mike Conley and Bojan Bogdanovic, they basically mortgaged everything. They didn't have future draft picks to trade. They didn't have financial wiggle room. That had to be the team that broke through, and when they realized it wasn't, they were just kind of stuck treading water or slowly drowning. So good for the Mammoth. I don't think that's where they are today.
Well, it's the reason Well, let me put it this way. The Coyotes forever managed the team on maximum flexibility. That was the ethos of the club.
Yeah.
Maximum flexibility. Meaning we have the money to do anything, but we're not going to do anything.
Right.
But what, new ownership, what did they do with that flexibility? They had salary, they had prospects,
draft picks.
They had draft picks. What do you do with all that to ensure that you are a good team for the longest time possible? And I think they identify players that they want to keep here for a long time, like Marino, and they're going to make sure that happens. And then leave yourself flexibility to do things around the edges and draft picks to draft the next wave of players that, it should be easier to be good and sustain being good in the NHL. It should, or at least from my perspective.
No, you're right. It should. And that's why generally the teams that were good when we were young were good most of our lives.
Yeah.
Now it certainly helps when you get a superstar or draft a superstar, but teams that were run well stayed pretty good consistently.
I thought to myself, man, the Red Wings are going to be good forever.
Forever. Teams never go wrong. Clearly, that's not the case. But
that was untrue.
But, the Avalanche have been good most of our lives.
They went through a little stretch.
They went through a
where-
little stretch.
Yeah.
But if you are run relatively well, it seems like things should be good. It is funny that the organization that Ryan Smith bought actually was extraordinarily well positioned to break through. They just needed not an idiot running the team.
Well, they needed somebody who had resources. If we don't want to get into to name calling,
Sure.
he had to run it on a bare bones budget
Maybe.
because he
He chose to.
He didn't have the scratch.
Sure. Maybe he didn't have the scratch.
They're not playing at Arizona State because that guy is rolling in dough. I can tell you that. I guess he could have pulled a Donald Sterling and chose to, but I think that was somebody who didn't have the resources. I don't know what the circumstances were when it was sold to him in the first place, on how many options that they had to buy that franchise. But he didn't have the scratch to do anything. They had to trade all the good players because he couldn't pay them. He's not putting him in the Super 8 because he's Ebenezer Scrooge.
I would hope not, but I don't know. Maybe he did. He hasn't been able to find money elsewhere to do anything since he sold them. So you're probably right. He probably just didn't have the resources to do it. But to the point we were talking about, they had all these future draft picks. They had a bunch of good young players already in the system that just needed extensions. They had some decent veterans on the team and seemingly had a very good front office. Bill Armstrong, Chris Armstrong wasn't on part of the team yet, but Bill Armstrong was very well respected in the business from his history. So they had good pieces. They had a pretty good foundation. You're right. They didn't have anyone to invest in it the right way. And Ryan has done that, and I think that's why you're looking at a team that's well positioned to be successful. The question is, how do you go from successful to the top of the top? And that's the hard part now.
All right. Stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next.
Thanks to the Mammoth.
Yeah, thanks to the Mammoth. Thanks to John Marino. That was great to get him on, so we certainly appreciate it. Stay tuned. More Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Just doing it big, you know?
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Ben, can I ask you about a concept story? We don't have to dwell on this per se.
Concept
or
story.
like a story, but conceptually, if I have if this is an issue or not. The Sophie Cunningham famous finger pointing thing.
Mm-hmm.
It became, and this is a non-story, but conceptually, I find it interesting. People were the WNBA Players Association said that they were not going to license merchandise or memes or whatever for the point, which has now become fairly iconic. And I do think it is funny, or at least that initial clip was quite funny. And now it's become a big deal. But they're not going to monetize it. And the reason is, and again, she can monetize it. They're just not going to do it as a league or whatever. And their reason is, here, let me quote, the WNBA has a blanket policy not to monetize confrontation coded moments between its members. Players, however, are free to create and or license their own NIL with any brand. I was thinking about that. Should you want to monetize confrontation? Like, is that because everybody's clowning the WNBA for not making money when they're getting attention on something, which is usually what happens. But kind of conceptually, I get that. Do you really want to make money on conflict within your players? Do you want to market that? Is that a smart thing to do?
So in a legal conversation, oftentimes you will see, and it kind of just gets thrown in, nobody talks about it because you just hear about like what the sentence is for somebody who commits a violent crime or whatever. Oftentimes in a legal decision, it also says you cannot write a book to profit off of the crime you have committed, because then you're encouraging people to commit crimes to sell the story of the crime they committed for $1 million. Then all of a sudden people say, yeah, my job is I'm a criminal, or my job is I'm in the WNBA and I fight people and then I sell merchandise of me being the fighting person, when actually it's bad for the brand. So the fact that it sounds like they will let Sophie Cunningham,
she can do whatever she wants.
do what she wants. I'm actually a little surprised that she can even do that as a member of the Players Union. I do get why the Players Union wouldn't want to do it in general, but I'm a little surprised that she could even do it.
Well, the Players Union is not letting the WNBA do it. That's really the story.
Okay.
It's not like
Yeah.
the Players Union would be directly benefiting.
Okay.
But they're saying the WNBA cannot market the finger point and make money off it. I know memes weren't really a thing back then, but imagine if they did a meme of Ron Artest lying on the scorer's table. Like the NBA would never promote that.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
You're not trying to sell that.
You're not trying to sell that. We laugh about Jordan Clarkson putting up his Dukes, and it's a pretty funny moment. But if you're the NBA, would you really want to market that if it went crazy viral? Probably not.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The WNBA has been making some curious decisions, in my opinion, over the last couple of years, and they took some heat for this one yesterday. I don't think they deserve heat for this one. The Players Association or the WNBA, I get it. You don't want to market confrontation, and it might be tempting because this one's kind of funny and took the world by storm. But in general, if you have a policy where you don't want to promote that behavior, if for no other reason than the one you laid out a few minutes ago, I totally get that.
I get it if it didn't feel to me like they were talking out of both sides of their mouths, because they love to watch Caitlin Clark get
pummeled
every night she steps on the court. Yeah, flying knee to the face.
Yeah,
that'll be
that's
great.
true.
We're not going to punish you. No technical foul. No personal foul. Whatever. Until Adam Silver apparently stepped in and was like, "Oh, you should
do something about that."
And I shouldn't use the term prize pig. That's your star. Don't let her get beat up.
No.
You want her on the court. You want her healthy.
And they just don't get that. The players, the refs,
Apparently,
the
Kathy
commissioner.
Engelbert didn't get it either until Sophie Cunningham apparently doing actually something that looked awesome and was funny. Now they don't want to do
and
it.
was kind of, if you're going to have a confrontation, that's a pretty benign way to do it.
That's the best way to do it. Pointing
Yeah.
at somebody is funny.
It is funny.
Right. And she's marketable. And she knows she's marketable.
Right.
Hence deciding, I'm going to go be the ring girl at the Conor McGregor fight.
Right.
Like, she recognizes I am enormously tall, unique looking, and I'm willing to lean into that. That doesn't need to be the way the WNBA tries to do everything. But if you have somebody who says, hey, I'm okay doing that, I don't think the WNBA should fight it either.
Yeah. Yeah. I do get it as a policy. Maybe the argument is this doesn't fit under that policy because it wasn't really a confrontation.
Well, this really goes exactly back to our Kimbo Slice conversation, which weirdly, Kimbo Slice has become the most popular athlete on our show.
Well, it all started
over the
with
last
me
few years.
Bringing up bum fights.
What did you call it, Christian? Mutually agreed upon street combat? I can't remember exactly what it was.
Something along
those
yeah.
lines. But basically, the court of law in our country will not prosecute two people who fight one another in the street as long as there's like a handshake agreement. And this has to go back to the dueling days of Hamilton and Burr, of just like,
I guess.
they said it was cool. They both knew what was on the line. As long as they went to New Jersey and did it, nobody really cared. The idea that as long as it's mutual, I guess, what are we going to get mad at? Nobody else is getting hurt here. But apparently the WNBA doesn't want that either.
Whenever people say, and like histrionics is a thing, but whenever people say like, oh, the world is the craziest it's ever been, or, we're as divided as we've ever been and all this, it is absolutely hyperbole. Because if you want to think about that for a second, the sitting vice president
Right.
shot a founding father to death.
J.D. Vance and Nancy Pelosi aren't like, fine, Dawn, pistols?
Somebody
One
ends
of
up
us
dead.
is dying. No, this is not the craziest the world's
No,
been.
it's really not.
It's the most coverage it's ever gotten.
By the way, do you know the rest of Burr's story too? That he like fled the country and tried to start a rebellion, like tried to start a civil war before the 100 years before the Civil War.
Actually, my
began.
favorite storyline from the Hamilton play is that this ruined Aaron Burr's life too.
Oh, big time.
Nobody
Oh, yeah.
won here. This was a disaster. It's kind of what the Odyssey's about, actually. It's kind of like there's a real toll to conquest. Aaron Burr, I mean, he didn't pay the price. He didn't go to prison for killing a person, but he paid a heavy price. He did not get off scot-free
Yeah.
for murdering Alexander Hamilton. Right. This is not the craziest it's ever been.
No, it's by a long
I'm not
shot.
saying it's not nuts. I'm not saying every day isn't wild, but correct.
But anybody who says, "Well, this is the most crazy the country's ever position they've ever been in," it's not.
Wrong.
Incorrect.
Wrong.
You know, Kimbo Slice only lost one street fight ever, and it was to a Boston police officer.
Oh, I don't even care.
What was his record?
I don't have the
It's
total.
made up. The number's
That's
fake.
That's
yeah.
the stat. I don't know.
99-1.
His only loss ever in a street fight was to Sean Gannon, a Boston police officer.
What's Sean doing now?
Probably
know?
still
10 to
upholding
20.
the
Still
law.
policing the streets. Yeah, 10 to 20.
That's probably so to bring this back to the WNBA. Maybe the lesson I'm taking from all this is, if you're getting the attention for the point, maybe side the policy a little bit, but also stop Caitlin Clark from getting stabbed in the eyeball with a fingernail.
First and foremost.
First and foremost, stop the stabbing, and then we can
Start worrying about Sophie Cunningham
focus
pointing at people.
And you know what? Get better officials. I'll admit it. I'm not absorbing, to use our word, every single WNBA game played. But the ones I do watch are really horribly officiated. Caitlin Clark aside. I don't know how you fix that. Pay them more, I guess,
Pay 'em
or
more.
find
Yeah.
better ones.
Yeah, pay 'em more.
But it really is a problem in that particular league. Like to another sport, Major League Soccer. Officiating is a huge problem. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's really bad.
In Major League Soccer. It makes it hurt. It really hurts the product. That is true with the WNBA as well. It's true with Summer League. My Lanta. Maybe I should give actual referees more credit than I do, because you see what happens when it's so bad.
Well, in capitalism, the carrot is the money. So you will get better so you can get the money, the carrot. You are actually going to try and work hard to get there. Yeah, if the WNBA officials aren't making any money, no one's going to try that hard to get good at it to get that job.
Oh, no. I kind of agree and disagree. I think the problem is not that they're not trying hard enough. I think the problem is they're incompetent. And the only reason that somebody better than them doesn't have the job is because they didn't apply in the first place, because the salary sucks.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Right, that's the carrot.
I'm not saying the current ones need to try harder. I'm saying the current ones
absolutely right.
need to be on the unemployment line, and the replacement ones need to be compensated so somebody would actually want the job.
No, women's basketball in our country, the WNBA and college basketball, is about to explode. It's about to go bananas, because some of these women are making so much money now, especially in college, that the carrot has never been juicier. You know, the desire to go out there and make $2 million in NIL, which is more than a lot of WNBA players ever made in their life for a decade-long career, is now available to you. And once people realize, hey, that's a very sustainable way to live, and actually it's accessible, people will jump up to get there. That is actually going to work. But until the officials feel like, hey, I can make a living doing this as a full-time job, there's not going to be any desire to actually start working to become a WNBA official. You're right. And then if they don't get that straightened out, you're not going to have a very good league, because they will let whoever stab Caitlin Clark every time she steps on the floor, and then she's not going to be on the court.
I wonder how many games per year these officials do. They make $1,500 per contest. 22 if you're a veteran. WNBA season is shorter.
Yeah, what is it, 35 games?
So, I mean, we really are talking about people making like $40K a year.
44 regular season games. So, yeah, you might be making 60 grand.
Might be.
Yeah, it might be. But yeah, that's not going to motivate a lot of people.
No, what capable professional, forget referee for a second, are taking jobs that are making
very
60K
rarely
a year?
Right. When you're talking about, I'm the top of my profession.
Yeah, am I going to go ref WNBA, or am I going to go be an accountant? You know, like capable, smart people.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick accounting, even though it's mind-numbing.
But I'll make 18 grand more entry level.
Entry level, right.
Yeah, versus I worked forever, busted my butt through whatever, NJCAA, as an official to get to the WNBA, and my reward is 30 games making $1,500 a night.
Yeah, I don't want to give them more money to make the current idiots try harder. I want the current idiots to be
replaced,
pursue new careers in the custodial arts, and then actually hire some people that are capable of putting their pants on in the morning.
I think that's a real chicken or the egg scenario that the WNBA and every league probably has to look at. How do we get better officials? Pay them more. Well, if we pay them more, the bozos we have now are never leaving.
Are never going to leave. Yeah, no, you got to
So
figure
what
out a
do we
way
do?
to do a complete change.
You need a Caitlin Clark who out of nowhere was just like, I'm just going to be great and I'm not going to make the money off of it. And then maybe if I'm good enough, the money will come on the very back end. But really, probably it's going to benefit the people behind me more than it benefited me. You know, the players now in the NBA, average players, are making way more in NBA salaries than Michael ever made. And Michael made a ton of money in the NBA, but really, really mediocre players now are going to have more NBA salaries than Michael Jordan made throughout his career.
I want to say Michael's peak earning was I think it was right around 30.
Right. He had
The
a couple
most
of weird
years,
years in the late 90s, and then I don't know what he made with the Wizards. But, yeah, his last couple of years, he got some huge salaries from the Bulls. Absolutely. But he probably made less than $120 million in his career as an NBA player. Like, Kyle Kuzma's going to double that.
All right, I've got it. You want to take a stab at it? The most per year Michael made, and it was during the 97-98 season with the Bulls.
$23 million.
33.
Oh, 33. So he got a real payday.
Because it was bananas for the day.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
Locally here, it was somewhat controversial because Karl Malone then started clamoring about how
I'm the MVP.
He wanted a Michael Jordan-like contract.
Yeah.
Which I don't think he quite got there. But
No.
Karl was, I think, in the 20s in his pinnacle. But yeah, 33 back then was...
Unfathomable.
Yeah. And it was because Scotty didn't make any.
And now Zach LaVine, I think, makes more than $33 million.
I think he does.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Right.
Walker Kessler.
Walker.
Yeah, Walker, he's just making Walker Kessler money.
Silly.
Yeah. But somebody does have to step up to the plate. And again, nobody feels bad for Michael Jordan. Michael's a billionaire several times over, I believe, at this point in his career. But somebody does kind of have to want to get there without the money being the carrot. The greatness has to be the carrot for some people, and now we got to figure out which WNBA ref wants the carrot of greatness, being that's the greatest WNBA referee who's ever lived.
By the way, an NBA referee makes like $500,000 to $750,000
Yeah, they do pretty well
every year.
It's a full-time job. It's a real thing.
Overpaid.
Sure.
Pay them less and make the WNBA a more attractive position.
Okay.
Whatever Kane Fitzgerald is making, it's too much.
That's fair.
Or who's the notorious one that hates Chris Paul? Oh yeah, Scott Foster.
Foster.
If he's making $10 an hour, it's too much.
It's too much.
He's dreadful.
A lot of them are.
And then they pretend, not to go off on a side rant, but then they pretend to go, we evaluate these refs in every second that they're on the floor, and these guys truly are the best ever. And you see those, these notorious names that are just awful. They're like, they're in the top tier and doing all these playoff games. Are you really evaluating every minute they're on the floor?
Like
Are
Victor
you
Wembanyama
doing
going
that?
full Zaza against the Knicks and being like, didn't see it. Don't know what to tell you. The 7'9" man who we're watching everything, defending the ball, sliding his foot under, which they don't miss ever in the regular season. Happens in the playoffs. Nobody saw it.
Don't know what you're talking about,
What
bro.
are you talking about?
Yeah. All right, we'll have more Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson. Now, every day from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Want to remind you about Win Ticket Wednesday, your chance to win big every week. This week, you can. This week's a good one. You can win tickets to go see Post Malone with special guest Jelly Roll and Carter Faith at Rice Eccles Stadium on July 28th. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Get your tickets today and listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day tomorrow for your chance to win. Can I ask you this, speaking of Jelly Roll? Did you see that he is getting a divorce?
I did.
From his longtime wife, who waited for him while he was in prison.
Mm-hmm.
If your wife waits for you while you're in prison, does that mean you automatically can't get a divorce? Or you can't leave her anyway? You know what I mean?
It's an important question.
She can leave you, but I don't know if you can leave her. Like a similar discussion. Remember when Lance Armstrong left his wife, who was with him through all the cancer stuff, and then left her for the country singer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think he should be obligated in some way to be married for the rest of his life. If she waits for you in prison, as long as she wants the relationship, I think you're obliged to be in.
How long was he in jail?
I don't know. We'll have to look.
Because I do think that matters.
So, yeah, if it's a weekend, whatever.
Yeah, right. You've got a public intoxication ticket and had to go spend the night in the drunk tank. That's one thing.
Jelly Roll spent a combined total of about a decade in and out of jail
Wow.
and prison from his teenage years through his mid-20s.
Oh, well, also, okay, so here's where I'm going to side with Jelly Roll, and it's the only time you're ever going to hear me say that in my life. She married a guy who was in and out of jail.
Yeah.
She chose that lifestyle. You can't be surprised when the guy who's in and out of jail, starting at the time he's a teen, and amasses a decade in prison over the period of time since before you met him through the time you got married, that like, oh, maybe consistency is not what our marriage is based on. It's not the foundation of our marriage. I'm not going to blame Jelly Roll for that. That might be Bunny XO's problem also. Not exclusively her problem, but also if you choose to go by the name Bunny XO and you marry a man named Jelly Roll,
Well, I don't think that was his given.
and then you don't make it, no one's going to be like, wow, I can't believe the couple Jelly Roll and Bunny XO didn't die happily together.
Okay. I'm just asking conceptually. I figure if she's going to wait for you while you're in prison, that deserves an extra level of loyalty.
I think that's...
Well, who initiated the split up?
And did she have any role in him ending up in prison?
Oh, what? You think she dimed him out or something?
No, I don't know. Maybe it was a Bonnie and Clyde situation. I don't know. They did die happily, not happily together, but together.
Yeah, happily, I don't know. Getting gunned down usually
Gunned down in
doesn't
your
put you in a
car.
good mood.
It's not really the best ending.
No, that's rough.
Christian, you've seen Bonnie and Clyde?
Yeah,
You have
The
seen
movie
it.
I think so.
with Warren Beatty?
I think it sounds familiar. I know the story.
Bank robbers, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a pretty iconic movie.
I've seen the car. You've probably seen the car.
Where is it?
I think it was at the Met for a while.
Was it?
Where it
Sounds
is
to
now.
me like that's something that would be at the Imperial Palace, even though it's no more. Did you ever see the car collection at the Imperial
Oh,
Palace?
this is even more up your alley. It's at Buffalo Bill's Resort and Casino in Prim, Nevada.
Yeah, I know where Buffalo Bills is.
Now I'm starting to think maybe I haven't seen it.
That's on the way from Vegas to California,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Which actually makes me wonder if that's why my parents would have stopped somewhere to be like, we're going to go see the car and
had-
to get you guys out of this car because you're killing us.
At one point, Buffalo Bills had the steepest roller coaster in the world, but I don't know
If that's still the case.
if that's still.
Cannibal was.
I
for
mean,
a
the
second.
cannibal goes upside down.
Well,
right?
I mean,
It
it's
goes
not steepest.
Inverted.
It's like longest drop or something
Okay.
like that.
Like that?
But yeah, the Imperial Palace had a crazy car collection for a while.
Appropriate to take your kids to see Bonnie and Clyde's car?
Yeah, it's history.
Okay.
Elvis's car is at the Country Music Hall of Fame.
But he
which
didn't get
is pretty
shot
cool.
to death in it.
No.
Like if they put Elvis's toilet that he died on, be like, look, it's the throne where the king died. I'm not sure you're taking your kids to that.
His car was pretty crazy, though, for like a 70s car. Had a TV in it and stuff. That Elvis lived the dream, man.
Kind of. He didn't live very long.
I'd love to go to Graceland. I've never been there.
Uh-huh. But that's cool.
Is it still? It still is. It's on the like top 5 of the U.S. most visited tourist attractions.
Is it?
I think so.
It's probably one of the only reasons to go to Memphis anymore.
I'd go to Sun Records.
Yeah.
Which I hear is just a teeny building. Kind of disappointing how small it is.
I believe it. Yeah, not everything was, top tier back then.
No, and they didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Even though they
That's
discovered
kind of the story, right?
all of that talent.
That's kind of why it's a story.
Yeah, they discovered him and made him famous, and then they all signed with RCA or whatever.
No one
and-
wants to go visit Virgin Records.
No.
Yeah, it's a conglomerate. Yeah. It's enormous. Nobody cares. But yes, 5 of the most important musicians of all time going to this one studio at one time is very cool. This one record company.
Yeah, the $1 Million Quartet.
Yeah, it's a cool story.
It is a cool story. That's a good musical.
Yeah.
I think we talk probably more musicals than any other sports show out there, I would guess.
Mm-hmm. We didn't even talk about Cats, and I went and saw it when I was in New York.
You did?
Well, I saw a thing called Jellicle Ball, which is kind of like Cats.
Isn't it the sequel or something?
No, it's if Cats was reimagined as a drag show. I had never seen Cats in the first place either, so it was a lot of foreign concepts being thrown at me. It was interesting.
I have never seen Cats, and I've got to admit, Cats is last on my desire to see of musicals.
So I saw the play, and then I went home and I watched the Taylor Swift animated version, like in the apartment right after, because this was the day after the draft. The play is just cats coming in and introducing themselves, which actually kind of makes sense as a drag show. But, like, it's not a thing. There's no story arc. You don't start one spot and end in the other and be like, wow, I'm glad they wrapped that up. It's just a bunch of cats being like, I'm a cat at night. And you're like, okay, what's the thing? There's no thing. It's just cats telling you what their name is, and they do a little number, and then they split. It's really weird. I can't believe it ran for as long as it did.
I can't believe that's what you picked.
Well, you think I was up to me?
I guess not. No, probably. I've seen one Broadway play, and it was Les Mis.
Oh.
A play on Broadway, and it was Les Mis, and it was the last month of its run on Broadway. So I was glad I got in there.
Yeah.
Because I had never seen it before, and I intentionally never saw the movie. And then when it came up, hey, what do you want to see? I said, Les Mis. It was amazing. But Cats, no, that was not on my list.
Yeah.
And I've heard that Taylor Swift Cats thing is just dreadful.
Yeah, it's atrocious.
And I'm a Taylor Swift fan.
It's
Oh, I
unwatchable.
bet Christian has been forced to sit through it.
No, that just clicked in my mind, though. The other day, I was wondering why she has stopped acting. And I think that's the reason why. I think that is probably her last acting credit.
It got so panned
Yeah.
that she wasn't here for the embarrassment.
Yeah.
She gets clowned a lot for her dancing, and she still does that.
Mm-hmm. She was in one of those Valentine's Day movies, whatever it was called. Remember they did Valentine's Day and New Year's Eve, those movies. It's like it takes place in one night and it has these 5 different stories and they all converge at some point. Taylor was in one of those. It was not good either.
Some people just don't have it.
Some people don't have it.
Speaking of Elvis, terrific actor.
I don't know if I've seen an Elvis movie.
I've seen the Hawaii one, whatever that is. Not a tremendous actor.
Yeah, I believe it.
Maybe that is a What You Got Wednesday.
Worst actors?
No. Musicians turned actors.
Okay.
Have we done that?
I don't know.
Or musician performance in a movie?
We can do that.
Because there are some good ones.
Of course.
But there's some really bad ones too. All right. Well, put that on the list. Stay tuned. We'll get to more coming up next. Will the wait ever be over? We can talk about that.
Do the Jazz need to fix their center issue? I think that's an interesting question.
Well, how fixed is the Bosnian beak? I
You think that's the answer alone?
Does the fixed nose, does he dial his game back to like 8 years ago?
Was that what it was holding him back?
Yeah. How much was the
Maybe
beak?
he's better than he'll ever be.
That's
he
what
can
I'm-
finally breathe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, how much was that really holding him back? All right, we'll get into that and more. Stay tuned. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.